Life in Saudi Arabia is not easy, especially for women. A simple conversation with a man can end in the death penalty. Not only ordinary people are not spared here, but also members of the royal family. A truly shocking story happened in 1977 with the beautiful 19-year-old Princess Mishal bint Fahd Al Saud, who disgraced her family. Princess Mishal, the favorite granddaughter of Mohammed bin Abdulaziz, the elder brother of the Saudi king, lived a life shrouded in tragedy and mystery. Muhammad once held the throne, but his character deteriorated over time. The king began drinking alcohol, and the family insisted that he abdicate in favor of a younger relative. His abiding attachment to the pampering of his granddaughter Mishal, however, remained unchanged. He spared no expense to satisfy her every desire, lavishing her with luxurious clothes, toys, and fulfilling her most daring requests. When the young beauty expressed her desire to study in Lebanon, her devoted grandfather could not refuse her. Mishal's relatives were confident that she was in no danger. At the age of 19, surrounded by servants and guards, she left for her studies. However, fate ordered otherwise. Being engaged to a relative, Mishal fell in love with another. Khalid al-Shahr Mahal, the nephew of Ali Hassan al-Shahr, the Saudi ambassador in Lebanon, became her chosen one. The young couple's meetings were rare, but love knows no bounds. Upon returning to Saudi Arabia, Mishal intended to marry her cousin. However, her plans took a tragic turn when a servant informed her grandfather about her boyfriend in Lebanon. Suddenly, the story of Arab Romeo and Juliet took a devastating turn. Muhammad was seized with rage. He said his granddaughter had dishonored the family, and that shame could only be washed away with her blood. This despite Mishal's innocence and the limited time she spent alone with Khalid. Khalid al-Shahr Mahal's death sentence was approved without hesitation, but there was no unanimity about the princess. Even King Khalid thought it could be done without extremes, but the grandfather insisted on the death penalty for his granddaughter. In the eyes of the law, her private meetings with men were considered adultery, a crime punishable by death. When Mishal learned of her fate, she decided to escape. She scattered her belongings on the coast, changed into men's clothes, and went to the airport. However, airport officials recognized her and detained her until her relatives arrived. In order to convict Mishal, either she had to confess to the adultery herself or four witnesses had to corroborate the crime. Despite the lack of eyewitnesses, the trial went quickly. It is not yet known whether Mishal confessed or not, but she was sentenced to public execution. The same fate awaited her lover. The death sentence for the man was approved without hesitation, but there was no unanimity about the princess. Even King Khalid thought that it could be done without extremes, but grandfather insisted on the death penalty for his granddaughter. On July 15, 1977, the sentence was carried out. Mishal's eyes were blindfolded and she was shot in the head, giving her a quick and merciful death, not stoning, which is practiced there in such cases. Khalid, however, was not so lucky. He was originally supposed to be beheaded by a professional executioner, but one of Mishal's relatives took his place. It took 5 attempts before the task was accomplished. Since Mishal's death, life for women in Saudi Arabia has changed for the worse. Religious police stepped up patrols in markets, stores, and public places to prevent meetings between men and women. Anyone accused of adultery was quickly apprehended and punished.